Beloved, money is not a struggle, money is not a chase, money is not far away. Money is spirit in action. It is energy clothed in form, obedient to divine law, and waiting for the command of your word. Too long people have believed in toil, in lack, in the endless pursuit. Yet the truth is simple: what you seek is already seeking you. What you desire already exists in abundance, and the moment you align with the spiritual code, the gates of supply swing wide open. This code is not written on paper, nor carved in stone. It is written in the invisible substance that governs all life. It is a law as certain as gravity, a principle as sure as sunrise. And this law declares, you can only possess what you are willing to claim. The timid soul who whispers, I hope for money, receives shadows. The bold soul who declares, I am rich in divine supply, sees doors open, ways made, and opportunities multiplied. The code begins with thought. Every thought is a seed, and the soil of the universe never denies a seed. If you plant lack, you reap lack. If you plant wealth, you reap wealth. Think only the thoughts you wish to see clothed in form. Cancel every word of failure, of one of poverty. Speak life into your finances, for the spoken word is a rod of power. Say with faith, money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. My supply is endless, inexhaustible, and immediate. The code is faith. Faith does not bargain, it does not wonder when, it does not doubt the how. Faith knows the supply exists before the need is spoken. Faith walks as if the answer is already delivered. To say, I cannot afford it, is to shut the door. To say, it is paid for by divine right, is to open the floodgates. Faith speaks only the language of abundance. The code is gratitude. Gratitude multiplies what you hold, while complaint dissolves it. The grateful heart magnetizes new channels, unseen avenues, and fresh streams of increase. Begin now to thank for the riches you cannot yet see, and soon they will take form. Say, I thank the universe for my financial freedom. I praise the spirit of supply that prospers me in all things. The code is release. Money will not flow into a clenched fist. It comes to the open hand, the willing giver, the cheerful spender. Hoarding binds the river, circulation keeps it alive. Every coin you release in love returns to you multiplied. Give without fear, and you prove to the universe that you trust its law of return. The code is vision. You must see yourself already in possession. The image in your mind becomes the substance in your life. If you walk with the vision of lack, you call it forth. If you walk with the vision of abundance, you cannot escape its manifestation. Picture your bills paid, your debts cleared, your bank account overflowing, and then live as though it were already so. The code is alignment. When you are at war with money, resenting it, fearing it, envying others for it, you push it away. When you honor it as a servant of good, a tool for freedom, an instrument of blessing, it hastens to your side. Money comes gladly where it is loved rightly. Beloved, the spiritual code that opens the flow of money is no mystery. It is the law of thought, the law of word, the law of faith, the law of gratitude, the law of release, the law of vision, the law of alignment. Practice these not with strain but with joy, and you will find that the supply which seemed far off has always been here, awaiting your recognition. Speak to your money, bless it, love it, claim it, and it will obey. For spirit withholds nothing. And the code of abundance is written in your very soul. The word is the key, for every word spoken carries vibration, carries power, carries the invisible seed of manifestation. When a person speaks, they are not merely uttering sounds, they are sending forth commands into the unseen substance that forms all things. The spoken word is creative. It clothes the invisible with form, it summons the unseen into the visible. To speak with doubt, to speak with fear, to speak with complaint is to open the door to poverty and limitation. To speak with faith, to speak with certainty, to speak with the consciousness of wealth, is to unlock the treasure house of abundance. Many people have believed that money is hard to obtain, that wealth is for a few, that financial freedom comes only through struggle. Yet the spiritual law declares that every man and woman can call forth their supply through the proper use of their word. The word is the key because it aligns the inner mind with the outer condition. A word repeated with conviction writes itself upon the subconscious, and the subconscious creates according to the impression received. If one speaks lack, the subconscious manifests lack. If one speaks abundance, The subconscious manifests abundance. The outer world always follows the pattern of the inner declaration. When one says, I cannot afford, they have locked the door on the flow of supply. When one says, it is paid for by divine right, they have turned the key and opened the gates of wealth. The universe is obedient to the spoken word, for the word is law, the word is command, the word is the tool by which spirit operates. There is no idle word, for every word is a seed. If a person fills their speech with lack, the harvest will be scarcity. If a person fills their speech with plenty, the harvest will be riches. It is not enough to think abundance, one must speak it. The thought is the seed, the word is the action that plants it in fertile soil. The vibration of the spoken word stirs the unseen into motion. It calls forth opportunities, it rearranges circumstances, it sends people ideas and situations into alignment with the declaration made. When you say, money comes to me freely and easily, you are calling forth channels you cannot yet see. When you say, my supply is endless and immediate, you are commanding the universe to reveal to you what was already prepared for you. Many people sabotage their prosperity by speaking against themselves. They pray for supply but then say, I never have enough. They affirm abundance but then say, it is so hard to make ends meet. These contrary words cancel their own harvest, for the universe cannot bring forth abundance to a divided tongue. The key is consistency. For the word spoken with unwavering conviction builds a pattern that must be fulfilled. To speak wealth one day and lack the next is like planting seeds, and then uprooting them before they can take root. The one who understands the power of the word guards their tongue carefully. They do not let words of doubt escape, they do not speak of failure. They do not voice worry or complaint. Instead, they speak the truth of abundance, regardless of appearances. When lack shows up, they say, this is only shadow. My supply is already here. When bills appear, they say, every bill is paid in divine order. When opportunities seem absent, they say, doors of prosperity are opening for me now. In this way, they keep the key turning in the lock until the treasure house swings wide. The word is the key because it connects the invisible with the visible. Words are not empty, they carry life. Scripture declares that life and death are in the power of the tongue. This is not a metaphor but a spiritual law. Speak life into your finances, and life will come. Speak death into your finances and lack will come. To say, I am always in debt, is to bind yourself to debt. To say, I live in financial freedom, is to free yourself from bondage. Words spoken with faith are like arrows that never miss their mark. They may not manifest in the instant, but they are always fulfilled, for the universe is exact and never forgets a declaration. This is why it is essential to make every word count. The spoken word also reveals belief. If you wish to know what someone truly believes, listen to what they say about money. If they speak of struggle, they believe in struggle. If they speak of ease, they believe in ease. The word exposes the heart, and the heart's belief sets the tone for manifestation. The wise one understands this and disciplines their tongue until it aligns fully with the truth they choose to experience. They do not say, I hope for wealth, for hope carries doubt. They do not say, maybe money will come, for maybe is uncertainty. They say, I am supplied richly and fully, because such words carry authority. They say, I have more than enough, because such words create the very state they describe. Even in silence, the inner word is at work. The inner conversations one has about money are as powerful as the outer ones. To repeat in the mind, it is too hard, it is too late, it will never come, is to block the flow before it begins. But to repeat in the mind, money flows to me in perfect ways, I am richly blessed, I am divinely supplied, is to prepare the ground for miracles. The inner word feeds the outer word, and together they shape the reality one walks into. This is why affirmations spoken with feeling are so powerful. They bypass doubt and plant truth deep into the subconscious. When repeated faithfully, the subconscious accepts them as fact, and once it accepts, it must create. The key also lies in speaking as if the desire is already fulfilled. To say, I will have money, is to place it in the future, always just out of reach. To say, I have money now, is to claim it in the present, which is the only time that exists. Spirit works in the now, not in the later. The word spoken in the present tense draws supply into the present moment. This is why declarations such as, I am wealthy, I am prosperous, I am financially free, carry such force. They affirm what already is in spirit, and by law, the outer must conform to the inner. The word is the bridge between spirit and matter. When you understand that the word is the key, you no longer speak carelessly. You no longer say, I am broke, even in jest, for you know such words have power. You no longer declare, it's impossible, for you know that nothing is impossible to spirit. You no longer allow fear to guide your speech, for you know that fear attracts the very thing feared. Instead, you choose words of courage, words of abundance, words of power. You say, I am in perfect financial alignment, my supply is sure, my wealth flows continuously. And as you speak these words with conviction, the universe arranges itself to prove them true. The word is the key because it is the command that unlocks the invisible storehouse. Every fortune ever built was first spoken. Every success story began with a declaration. Every miracle of supply was called forth by the word. The tongue sets the direction of life, just as a rudder steers a ship. Speak wealth, and you steer toward wealth. Speak lack, and you steer toward lack. The key has always been in your mouth, waiting to be turned. And the moment you begin to speak the truth of abundance without wavering, the flow of money that seemed closed will rush toward you with unstoppable force. Faith cancels fear, for fear is the great thief of supply, while faith is the unfailing magnet of abundance. Fear whispers of loss, of lack, of doors shut, of opportunities gone. But faith declares that nothing can be withheld, that supply is sure, that the universe is overflowing with every good and perfect gift. Fear sees only limitation. Faith sees infinite possibility. Fear shrinks the heart and tightens the hand. Faith expands the vision and opens the door. When fear is present, the flow of money is dammed. Choked, delayed, for fear is disbelief in divine law. Yet when faith arises, the channels burst open, the river of supply flows, and what once seemed blocked is made effortless. Faith cancels fear because the two cannot exist together. One must rule. If you allow fear to speak louder than faith, your supply is shut. If you allow faith to speak louder than fear, your supply must appear. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It calls what is unseen into visibility, it summons what seems distant into the now. A person of faith looks at an empty bank account and says, this is only appearance. My wealth is on its way. They look at unpaid bills and say, these are already paid by divine right. They look at the seeming lack of opportunity and say, new doors are opening for me now. Fear would say, there is no way. But faith always says, there is always a way. Fear binds the imagination in chains, but faith sets it free to create new paths, new channels, new miracles. Fear is rooted in appearances. It stares at what is visible and believes it to be the whole truth. It sees the current condition and makes it permanent. Fear does not understand that appearances are shadows, temporary forms that shift with the winds of belief. Faith knows that appearances are only effects, and effects must change when the cause changes. Faith goes to the unseen cause, the divine supply, the infinite storehouse, and draws from it new forms. Fear says, it is impossible because I do not see it. Faith says, it is inevitable because it already exists in spirit. Fear delays manifestation because it speaks words of lack, but faith hastens manifestation because it speaks words of abundance. Every person faces the temptation of fear when bills arrive, when opportunities close, when money seems delayed. The untrained mind gives in to fear, speaks words of doubt, and magnifies the very condition it dreads. The trained mind turns immediately to faith, declaring the truth in the face of appearances. Faith is not blind, faith is vision of the unseen. It does not ignore reality, but it knows that reality is first spiritual, then material. To live by faith is to stand on divine law rather than shifting conditions. To stand on appearances is to be tossed back and forth with every wind of circumstance. But the one who stands in faith is unmovable, knowing that supply must come because the law is sure. Faith cancels fear in the heart and in the tongue. The fearful heart says, what if I lose it all? The faithful heart says, I can never lose what belongs to me by divine right. The fearful tongue says, I cannot afford this. The faithful tongue says, it is already paid for. Fear sees money as scarce and hard, faith sees money as abundant and flowing. Fear holds tightly, afraid of release. Faith gives freely, knowing that circulation is the law of increase. Fear builds walls, faith opens gates. Fear is small, faith is expansive. Fear expects lack, faith expects abundance. Each expectation creates its own harvest. Faith is not mere hope, it is certainty. It is the knowing that supply is present even before it arrives in form. Faith operates in the unseen, and because it knows, it does not waver. The one who walks in faith speaks as though the thing is already done, and this unwavering certainty cancels every vibration of fear. If a person says, I hope money comes, they are leaving room for doubt. If they say, I know money comes, they have spoken the language of faith, and fear has no ground. The universe responds to faith, for faith is agreement with divine law. Fear is agreement with illusion, and illusion must fade when truth is declared. The power of faith lies in its ability to hold fast even when appearances scream the opposite. When fear tries to rise, faith repeats its declaration with greater conviction. When fear paints pictures of lack, faith paints pictures of abundance. When fear tempts the tongue to say, I cannot, faith answers, it is already done. Every moment is a choice between fear and faith. The fearful choice leads to delay, struggle, and scarcity. The faithful choice leads to flow, ease, and abundance. Faith is also contagious. A person who walks in faith spreads confidence, attracts support, draws opportunities, for their very energy speaks of assurance. Fear, too, is contagious, spreading anxiety, tightening channels, driving away opportunity. To cultivate faith is to cultivate magnetism, for faith carries light, and light always attracts. Faith lifts the atmosphere of the home, the workplace, the business, for it creates an environment where abundance feels at home. Fear darkens the atmosphere, repels good, creates barriers where none existed. To choose faith daily is to choose to be a magnet for wealth. Faith grows through practice. It is strengthened by use. Each time you choose to declare abundance instead of lack, you build the muscle of faith. Each time you look at appearances and declare the unseen truth, your faith grows stronger. Each time you refuse fear a place in your tongue, or in your heart, you reinforce the flow of supply. In the beginning, fear may rise loudly, but faith, when spoken, cancels it. Over time, faith becomes natural, the first response instead of the last. The more you affirm, I am divinely supplied, the more your subconscious accepts it as fact, and once accepted, it must manifest. Faith is not passive but active. It acts as if the supply is already here, and by acting, it draws the supply into visibility. Faith cancels fear not by ignoring it but by replacing it. Darkness disappears not by fighting it but by turning on the light. In the same way, fear disappears when faith is spoken and felt. The more you affirm abundance, the less room fear has. The more you speak truth, the weaker the voice of fear becomes. Eventually, fear falls silent, for faith has claimed the throne. And when faith rules, money flows without resistance, opportunities open without effort, wealth appears without struggle. Faith is the assurance that divine law never fails, and with that assurance, fear has no power at all. Gratitude multiplies supply. For gratitude is the vibration that calls forth increase. When one is thankful for what is already present, even if it appears small, they invite more of the same to appear. Gratitude is recognition of abundance, and recognition is what opens the door to more. To complain is to close the gate, to dwell on lack is to push supply away, but to give thanks is to pull riches into the visible. The heart that praises is magnetic, it attracts, it draws, it multiplies. The heart that complains is repellent. It diminishes, it shrinks, it pushes away. Gratitude is not simply a polite expression, it is a spiritual law, a force that multiplies whatever it is directed toward. When one wakes and gives thanks for life, they open the channel for health and vitality. When one looks at their home, however humble, and gives thanks, they prepare the way for greater comfort and beauty. When one looks at the money in their hand and blesses it with gratitude, that money multiplies in unseen ways. Gratitude is a magnet for more, complaint is a magnet for less. What you appreciate appreciates, what you depreciate diminishes. If you say, I never have enough, you confirm lack and lock yourself into it. If you say, I am grateful for every coin, every bill, every dollar. You invite the floodgates to open wider. Gratitude is powerful because it aligns the mind with abundance rather than scarcity. The one who complains focuses on what is missing, and so the subconscious is trained to see only lack, and the law brings more of it. The one who is grateful focuses on what is present, and the subconscious is trained to see plenty, and the law brings more of it. Gratitude changes perception, and perception changes reality. When you look at a small harvest and say, "This is not enough," you curse your seed. When you look at a small harvest and say, "I bless this and give thanks," you plant the seed of greater harvest. The grateful heart never goes empty, for gratitude keeps the channels open. Gratitude must also be expressed for things unseen, for blessings already prepared but not yet visible. To give thanks only for what is in hand is to limit gratitude. But to give thanks for what is coming is to summon it into form. To say, "I am thankful for the wealth that is on its way to me," is to prepare the soil for its arrival. To say, "I am grateful for the opportunities now unfolding," is to draw them closer. Gratitude spoken in advance is faith in action, and faith always brings results. Gratitude makes the unseen as real as the seen, and by law, the unseen must become seen. When you bless what belongs to another, you are not subtracting from yourself, you are multiplying your own supply. To envy another's wealth is to affirm separation from it, but to give thanks that abundance exists in the world is to draw it nearer to you. Gratitude rejoices in good wherever it appears, for gratitude knows that supply is infinite, that there is no shortage, that all abundance is connected. The grateful person looks at the success of another and says, "I give thanks that such abundance flows freely, and I now align myself with that flow." In this way, they draw the same stream to themselves. Gratitude also transforms the act of giving. To give grudgingly is to cut the circuit short, but to give with gratitude is to complete the cycle of circulation. Every coin released with thanks becomes a seed sown into fertile ground, destined to return multiplied. The one who spends money with complaint sends it out burdened with fear, but the one who spends with gratitude sends it out blessed and joyful, and such money always returns with increase. Gratitude turns every expenditure into an investment in abundance. To say, "I am grateful this bill is paid, for it proves that supply is here," is to prepare the way for even greater supply. The energy of gratitude is expansion. When you are grateful, your heart expands, your mind expands, your energy expands, and expansion attracts expansion. When you are ungrateful, your heart contracts, your mind contracts, your energy contracts, and contraction attracts contraction. The universe always reflects the vibration you hold. Gratitude is a vibration of plenty, complaint is a vibration of lack. To live in constant gratitude is to live in constant multiplication. Gratitude is also a shield against fear and worry. When you are busy giving thanks, you cannot complain. When you are focused on blessings, you cannot dwell on what is missing. Gratitude cancels the negative vibration before it has time to root. If fear whispers, "There may not be enough," gratitude answers, "I thank the universe that my supply is endless." If worry says, "How will this be paid?" gratitude says, "I am grateful it is already paid in divine order." Gratitude silences doubt, not by force but by replacing it with praise. Gratitude also attracts ideas, inspiration, and opportunities. The thankful mind is an open mind, receptive to guidance. The complaining mind is closed, blind to solutions. When you give thanks, you are saying, "I trust there is more," and this trust allows you to see pathways you would otherwise miss. Gratitude sharpens vision, aligns intuition, and draws the right people, circumstances, and resources. Many fortunes began not with a large sum, but with a grateful heart that blessed a small sum until it grew. To practice gratitude is to live as though abundance is already yours, and this way of living becomes self-fulfilling. Gratitude lifts you above the vibration of struggle into the vibration of ease. Gratitude dissolves envy, jealousy, and fear, replacing them with joy and peace. Gratitude keeps your energy in harmony with the flow of life, and harmony always brings increase. To walk each day giving thanks for what is seen and unseen, small and large, present and future, is to walk in the consciousness of wealth. Gratitude multiplies supply, because gratitude recognizes the truth that supply is infinite, and what is recognized must always be revealed. Circulation keeps money alive, for money is not meant to be hoarded or clutched in fear, but to move like the tides of the sea, flowing out and flowing in, carrying with it fresh energy and fresh opportunity. When money is held too tightly, it becomes stagnant, like water trapped in a pool with no outlet, breeding anxiety and decay. When money is allowed to circulate freely, it mirrors the eternal rhythm of giving and receiving, and in that rhythm lies the secret of increase. Money is a servant of spirit, and spirit is always in motion. To block the motion is to block the flow. To allow the motion is to keep the channels open for ever greater streams of supply. Every act of giving, when done in faith and joy, multiplies what is given. To spend money with fear is to send it out burdened with doubt. But to spend it with love and gratitude is to release it as a seed destined to return multiplied. Many people choke their own supply by withholding, by saying, "I must hold on, for there may not be enough." Such words shut the gate on circulation, and the law responds by tightening channels. Others give freely, even from little, and the law responds by opening new avenues of return. What is given in love never leaves you. It goes out only to return pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Circulation is the breath of supply. Just as the body cannot live without the rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, money cannot live without the rhythm of giving and receiving. To inhale without exhaling is death. To exhale without inhaling is death, and so with money, both movements are essential. Many wish only to receive without giving, but this is to attempt to breathe in without ever breathing out. Others give but resentfully, and this is like exhaling but refusing to inhale again. The wise understand that giving and receiving are one act, two sides of the same law, and to engage in circulation with joy is to guarantee that the flow never ends. When money is spent with fear, the energy of that fear clings to it and delays its return. When money is spent with joy, it carries that joy into the universe and hurries back multiplied. To say, "I cannot afford this," is to plant a seed of lack that blocks circulation. To say, "This is paid for in divine order," is to affirm that circulation is safe, natural, and endless. Every time you release money with trust, you prove to the universe that you believe in its law of increase, and the universe always proves itself faithful. Circulation is also about generosity. The hand that opens to bless another cannot remain empty for long. To give to another is to give to yourself, for all life is one. The seed of generosity always returns as a harvest. This does not mean careless spending or waste, but conscious circulation, giving where you feel joy, releasing where you feel alignment, blessing every transaction as a channel of increase. Even a small gift, given with a cheerful heart, carries a vibration that calls forth abundance. It is never the size of the gift, but the spirit of the giver that determines the harvest. Circulation also keeps fear at bay. When you hold tightly, you prove to yourself that you believe in limitation, and fear grows stronger. When you release with confidence, you prove to yourself that you believe in endless supply, and faith grows stronger. Circulation is the practice ground of faith. For every time you give or spend with trust, you cancel fear and affirm abundance. The more you circulate, the easier it becomes, until giving and receiving feel as natural as breathing. Those who hoard in fear may accumulate piles of money, but they rarely experience the joy or freedom that money is meant to bring. Their wealth is stagnant, lifeless, a burden rather than a blessing. But those who understand circulation live with ease, for they know that money is always moving toward them, as long as it is moving through them. They release freely, they give joyfully, they spend gratefully, and in return, they are constantly replenished. Their wealth feels alive, dynamic, ever-expanding. Circulation also requires blessing what leaves your hand. If you pay a bill, do not resent it but bless it. Say, "I am grateful this is paid, for it proves supply is here, and greater supply is on its way." To complain over bills is to curse your own circulation, to affirm lack where you should affirm abundance. Every bill is evidence that life has provided, that energy has been supplied, that services have been rendered. To bless the outflow is to prepare the way for a greater inflow. To resent the outflow is to block the return. Money thrives where it is loved and appreciated. When you treat money as a friend, it comes willingly. When you treat it as an enemy, it flees. Circulation is the friendship of money in action. To give and receive freely is to honor money's true nature, to let it move as it was meant to move. Money is not meant to be imprisoned, it is meant to flow. And in that flow, it grows, multiplies, and blesses all who touch it. Circulation also teaches that you can never be depleted by giving. What leaves returns. What is released comes back. The stream may narrow for a moment, but it always widens again. To believe that giving depletes is to believe in separation from source. To know that circulation enriches is to know that source is endless. Every gift, every payment, every coin that moves outward is proof of connection, proof of flow, proof that you are part of the great rhythm of life. To cut yourself off from circulation is to cut yourself off from life itself. Circulation also raises vibration. When you give joyfully, you feel uplifted. When you spend with gratitude, you feel light and free. This uplifted vibration draws even more good, for like attracts like. The vibration of contraction draws more contraction. The vibration of expansion draws more expansion. The generous heart is always expanding, and the universe cannot help but match that expansion with new supply. Circulation is therefore not only about money but about energy, love, time, and resources. Whatever you give returns multiplied. When you give love, love returns. When you give kindness, kindness returns. When you give money, money returns. Life itself is circulation, and money is simply one form of it. To resist circulation in any form is to resist life. To embrace circulation in every form is to embrace abundance. When you understand circulation, you stop fearing money's departure, for you know it is only movement, only flow, only a cycle that guarantees return. You stop clinging, for clinging shows mistrust of the law. You stop worrying, for worry is a denial of return. You begin to see money as breath, as tide, as rhythm. You inhale and exhale with trust. You give and receive with joy. You release and welcome with gratitude. And in this eternal circulation, money remains alive, always flowing, always returning, always increasing. Vision creates form. For the image held steadily in the mind becomes the pattern into which substance flows. Every fortune, every creation, every manifestation first existed as a vision. Invisible yet real, planted in the soil of imagination and watered by thought and word. To see lack is to form lack. To see abundance is to form abundance. The subconscious accepts the pictures impressed upon it, and the outer world obediently reflects them. Vision is the blueprint of reality, and the clearer the vision, the stronger the form. Many live without vision and therefore drift with circumstance, but those who shape a vision walk in authority. For life molds itself around their inner image. When you picture yourself always in debt, struggling, striving, never having enough, you are drawing that picture into your experience. When you see yourself free, prosperous, at ease, surrounded by supply, you are shaping the mold through which abundance must flow. The universe cannot give you what you cannot see yourself having. It will never withhold supply, but it will only clothe what you have envisioned. Vision is not fantasy, it is the creative act of spirit within you. Spirit imagines, spirit sees, spirit speaks, and form appears. You are never without supply, you are only without vision. Vision must be vivid, alive, and detailed. To say vaguely, "I want more money," is to give the universe no mold to fill. To see clearly, "I have more than enough, I live in wealth, I walk in freedom, I am surrounded by abundance," is to provide a perfect blueprint. The subconscious does not argue. It simply accepts the picture given and begins to create according to that picture. If the vision is confused, the results will be confused. If the vision is strong, the results will be strong. The law cannot fail, but it can only give according to the image impressed upon it. Vision creates form because the unseen is always cause, and the seen is always effect. The image is cause, the material condition is effect. Many look only at effect and attempt to change it directly, but this is like trimming branches while leaving the root untouched. The wise change the vision, knowing that when the root changes, the fruit must change. If you are dissatisfied with present conditions, you must replace the inner picture. If you keep the same picture, you will keep the same results. Vision is the root, and vision must be transformed if the harvest is to change. The act of holding vision requires persistence. A picture held for a moment, and then abandoned has little power. But a picture held daily with feeling becomes magnetic. It impresses itself upon the subconscious more deeply each time it is repeated, until the subconscious accepts it as fact. Once accepted, the outer world shifts to match it. The law does not fail, but many give up too soon, allowing doubt to blur their vision. Vision must be held with unwavering conviction, as if it were already real, because in spirit it already is. To walk as though the vision were already fulfilled is the secret of manifestation. Vision also requires feeling. A dry picture has little force, but a picture infused with emotion carries power. To see yourself wealthy and to feel the joy, the ease, the freedom of that state impresses the subconscious far more deeply than a lifeless image. The subconscious speaks in the language of feeling, and feeling is what makes the vision alive. To imagine yourself surrounded by abundance, and to feel gratitude as though it were already true, is to magnetize that abundance. Gratitude seals the vision, turning it from mere wish into certainty. Vision must always be present tense. To imagine abundance as a distant future is to keep it always beyond reach. To see yourself now, in this moment, already prosperous, already free, already rich in supply, is to bring the vision into the present where it can clothe itself in form. Spirit works only in the now, tomorrow is an illusion. Therefore, the vision must be lived in the now, spoken in the now, felt in the now. To say, someday I will have wealth, is to push it away. To say, I see myself now in wealth, is to bring it into manifestation. Vision also dissolves obstacles. Where others see walls, the visionary sees paths. Where others see endings, the visionary sees beginnings. The picture in the mind shapes the perception of circumstance. If the inner vision is one of limitation, every obstacle appears insurmountable. If the inner vision is one of abundance, every obstacle appears as a stepping stone. Vision creates form not only in material supply, but also in ideas, solutions, and opportunities. The one who holds a vision of prosperity will always be guided to the right steps, for their vision opens channels unseen by the fearful eye. Vision must be guarded, for it is easily disturbed by doubt, fear, and negative suggestion. The outer world will present appearances of lack, but you must refuse to take those appearances into your inner picture. To do so is to undo your own creation. You must hold your vision as sacred, untouchable, untouched by circumstance. Each time doubt arises, you return to your vision and reaffirm it. Each time fear speaks, you answer with your vision. The more faithfully you guard it, the sooner it will take form. Vision creates form, because the universe is mental in nature. What exists in consciousness becomes what exists in matter. You cannot experience what you cannot see. You cannot hold wealth in your hand until you have held it in your mind. You cannot enjoy financial freedom until you have seen yourself living it in imagination. Vision is rehearsal for reality, and reality must conform to what is rehearsed. The more you live the vision inwardly, the sooner you live it outwardly. Vision is not only about personal wealth, but about the good you can do with it. When you see yourself as a channel through which abundance flows to bless others, your vision expands, and the law expands to meet it. A small vision creates small results, but a great vision creates great results. To see yourself not only enriched but enriching others, not only supplied but supplying others, multiplies your channels and quickens your manifestation. The universe delights in great visions, for they align with the abundance of life itself. Vision must be spoken, for words give shape to images. To declare aloud, I see myself wealthy, I see myself prosperous, I see myself free, strengthens the vision and anchors it in the subconscious. Each word reinforces the picture, carving it more deeply into the unseen. The spoken word is the hammer that strikes the image into form. Silence may waver, but spoken vision is strong. To repeat your vision daily is to quicken its growth, to speed its manifestation, to keep it alive and active until the form appears. Vision is the compass of life. Without vision you drift with the winds of chance, but with vision you direct the winds themselves. Vision determines destination, and destination becomes reality. The one who sees clearly never fears the path, for they know the outcome is already assured. The one who lacks vision stumbles, for they have no pattern to guide them. To create a vision of wealth and hold it unwaveringly is to set a course that must end in wealth. The form will come because the vision was held, for vision is the seed and form is the harvest.